welcome to another episode of Bookish and Bewildered. Dudes, it has been a day. It's been a day. And I need to talk about some books. Now let's get to the book review. And today I am reviewing The Elementals by Michael McDowell. This book is a Southern Gothic novel, which is perfect for spooky season. So if you're thinking of getting a book, consider this and see what you think of my review. Michael McDowell wrote the screenplays to Beetlejuice and The Nightmare Before Christmas. He's considered one of the best modern horror authors of all time, which is an interesting little factoid for you. I only recently stumbled across him, so if you haven't heard of him, then, I was in the same boat as you until very recently. The Elementals is a haunted house story with a difference. The book follows the Savage and McCrae families, who were brought together by the death of the Savage matriarch, Miriam Savage. Something really unsettling happens at the funeral of Miriam Savage. I won't say what it is, but it is really creepy and I wasn't expecting it. So it was a great way to start the book. This is kicking in. Nice. After the funeral, the family retires to Beldam, which is the family summer home, and consists of 3 Victorian houses that stand on a sandbar. As the book is set, I think in around the 80s, there's no internet, and the houses are so old because they're Victorian Gothic and in a very remote area. They don't have anything quite modern like air conditioning or internet access. I don't even think they had much electricity, if memory serves. So they have to entertain themselves a different way, with board games, reading, chatting to one another, or exploring the houses, which adds to the ominous, cloying, suffocating, claustrophobic atmosphere that you have going on. The family, which is related by marriage, is quite disjointed in nature. You have Dauphin Savage and his wife Lee. Lee's family, who are the McCraes, and they consist of Big Bertha, who is Lee's mum, and Luca, who is Lee's brother, who also brings along his 13-year-old daughter, India. Big Barbara is an alcoholic who's being forced to dry out by the family during this summer, so the house is completely devoid of alcohol. There's not a single drop for her to have, and she's quite resentful of the fact that she's having to dry out and stop drinking. What adds to her distress is the fact that her marriage to her politician husband, Lawton McCrae, is on the rocks. I found Luca's relationship with India quite inappropriate and creepy. Probably not in the way that you think, but still it was inappropriate and creepy and quite unsettling. India exclusively calls her father by his first name. He swears at her, he allows her to drink and take pills. She knows a lot about his sex life. And in one scene, he comes out of the shower completely naked and India's laying out his clothes on the bed for him. That was very unsettling. That dynamic between them is so inappropriate. It definitely adds to the eerie atmosphere and that unsettling, uncomfortable feeling that you get throughout the book that things aren't quite right. And these personal details about the family, Big Bertha being an alcoholic, feeling uncomfortable in her skin, being itching for a drink, Luca's relationship with his daughter, which is unconventional at best and then deeply inappropriate from, well, at least my eyes. I just think it's just so inappropriate. It does lend to that creepy atmosphere. The family is joined by Odessa Red, who is the Savage's maid and housekeeper, and I very much enjoyed Odessa's character. She doesn't take any shit from anyone. She knows the Beldam estate like the back of her hand, and she's very respected by the families, both Savage and McCrae. Interestingly, India is how we experience a large quantity of the book. So she is our fish out of water. She's never been to Beldam before, and so she's seeing this with fresh eyes, and people are explaining to her the do's and don'ts of the house, where she should and shouldn't go. So she's kind of like our POV, but not really. But we do get a lot of exposition and movement of plot as things are explained to her. Now, Beldam consists of 3 properties, as I've explained. 3 Victorian houses, the first house, the second house, and what is known as the third house. The family as a whole is clearly afraid of the third house. They don't go there, they don't encourage India to go there, but she's curious and she wants to explore. And I find it quite frustrating that they just don't say outright, this is the reason why you shouldn't go there, or at least come up with a plausible excuse to stop her from going there, or just snuff out her curiosity. And so sadly, because she didn't have an adequate warning, she does start to take an interest in the third house and explore the sound around it. Scary things start to happen, and it's glorious in nature. Michael McDowell writes those things that go bump in the night, that thing at the corner of your eye you think you saw, but did you? And aspects of the story where the reader is aware that something's creeping up on a character, but the character isn't necessarily aware. And it's really scary. He is such an evocative, atmospheric, wonderful writer. And I'm not surprised that he was a screenwriter for Beetlejuice, quite frankly, because it was such an immersive read. And as I was listening to the audiobook, I had to stop and just take a breath, have a breather, and then circle on back to the story, because I was getting quite anxious for the characters, and I don't usually feel like that at all. Odessa and India join forces during the book, when it becomes apparent that Odessa knows a lot more about the house and the family's history and the things that go bump in the night. A lot more than she's letting on that she does. And India wants to know everything. It's a really unlikely partnership, and I appreciate how well they work together and how they bounce off one another, because Odessa's quite crotchety and old. Like I said, she doesn't take any shit from anyone. And India is a 13-year-old New Yorker, and she thinks she knows everything, and she's quite sassy. And I do like that dynamic between them. They're like a dynamic duo, but an unusual one. And it gets quite graphic at the pinnacle of the story when things are being revealed. There is a face-off of sorts. I don't want to ruin it for you because it's really, really good. The ending is a work of art. I don't want to say anything that will give it away, because you need to read this book. I promise you, if you love gothic horror, this is the book for you. So I don't want to ruin it for you, but the ending is wonderful. It's very richly written, but you get resolution at the end of the book. And you know, there are some casualties along the way. And I cried. I fucking cried. Oh dear, I'm getting soft, but you know, it was a wonderful story, and I definitely would recommend it if you're on the lookout for a spooky story. My favourite character is definitely Odessa. She's sassy, she doesn't take any shit from anyone, she knows a lot, she's a very wise woman. I will link the book below, so if you would like to pick up a copy, you might want to check the link down here and help a girl out, because I am an Amazon affiliate. And yeah, I mean, this is the start of my spooky season reviews, the very first one of 11. So yeah, I'm interested to see what I'm going to be reading next. I think I might just do a blind lucky dip into the bag of titles that I have upcoming, and I'll catch you soon. So have a lovely evening.